Hey guys, greetings from the hotel here at CEDIA. I'm getting my gear together, ready to head to the airport, but I wanted to get some of this out for you today. And this video is going to be with Rob Jones from Magnetar, and Magnetar announced new disc players. They announced the Mark II line of their UDP 800 and 900, and there's a lot of interest in these players. You guys clicked my initial announcement video quite a bit, and I wanted to talk to Rob and get a little more detail of the players. I wanted to get my camera aimed at the players so we can see the devices themselves a little more. But more than anything, I really wanted to dig in with Rob and find out, I wanted to learn a little bit more about Magnetar's level of commitment in this space, and you can judge from yourself. He talks about it in this conversation. You can judge for yourself, but I read this as Magnetar is definitely in this for the long haul, which is fantastic news for movie lovers, whether, regardless of how you're watching them. So take a listen to what Rob Jones from Magnetar has to say here.
We released the Gen 1, respectively, the 800 in 2022, 900 in 2023. 900 geared to a little bit more towards the higher end audio folks with the multi-channel analog out. So what we decided to do was, rather than make a bunch of running changes as we went, was to kind of take everything in cumulative packages and come out with the next generation version of the player. Same DNA, just more to offer. We've done some hardware upgrades. Excuse me, my voice is gone after all this. We've done some hardware upgrades in relation to the DACs on the 900. We now have two ESS 9038s versus a 9028 and 9038. On the 800, we added op amps. We've completely redesigned the audio boards from top to bottom. We've added Roon integration, so now you have the room music side of things. We did some kind of fine tuning on the disk drives, the optical drive, to try and eliminate noise. There's a lot of variances in physical media, right, between CDs, SACDs, and 4K. And what you find is some of the older stuff struggles. And also our tolerance levels are a little bit more restricted because of the expectation of the high level of performance. So we've gone in and tried to create a little bit more latitude without breaking things in regards to disc playback. Compatibility is still wide, still completely wide. Every format you can imagine. We look at this as a universal media player. With the next gen, we kind of emphasize that even further. And I think that kind of the core focus was to listen to the dealers, listen to the customers, and kind of get some feedback as to what they were looking for that we were missing, things that we could improve on in the product from a networking standpoint, network discovery, because the players support network-based playback, USB-based playback. Like, for example, we added a dedicated power and chipset to the USB port, which gives you more compatibility across more drives and a more stable environment. So little kind of tweaks like that really make the difference at the end of the day for the customer, and having that universal nature of the player, but doing it now just a little bit higher, a little bit better. On a high level viewpoint, the 800 will give you 2-channel analog out using TI Burr Brown DACs, 1795 DACs. The 900 will give you 7.1 analog out with dual ESS 9038s. So you've already stepped up there. Upgraded components, JST and Amphenol connectors. In here, the component grade is higher. So it's a bit geared more towards those who are audio focused. It has a USB DAC, XMOS driven DAC. We have customers that buy this and just use it for the DAC. They never stick a disc in it. Because the players do network-based playback, they do file-based playback based on a USB drive up to 16 terabyte. Again, that universal approach. So if you're kind of audio heavy, if you're just looking for an everyday workhorse, but you want that reference grade quality, this is suitable for that. There's IP control, RS-232 and IP control. We also have an app that both graphically represents our remote as it is, and then there's also a condensed version, which is, if you're away traveling and the kids want to watch The Wizard of Oz, there's an app, and it's just got stop, play, rewind, right? So it does, because our remote's pretty sophisticated with all the functionalities, but we have a scaled down version through an app that gives you the basics that you need to watch a movie. Yeah, we give you, in our manual, we give you what port is open and the command table. So it's pretty easy to access. I mean, you can sit there if if you're a nerd, you have propellers like I do. You can sit there in a telnet window, and you can actually send commands via IP on the port, right, without any graphical interface. If you just want to mess around and have some fun, or if you want to have some fun with somebody who's watching the movie upstairs, you just pop on and right? Player's broken. It's a combination of things. Currently we're in an interesting situation with trade conditions, right? Prior to that, same thing from a price point. You know, when you look at it, and it's very easy for people to say it's a cash grab by, oh, hey, they went to the marketplaces and they saw Oppo selling for $4,000, so they're just gonna, right? It's not what we did. You have a ton of engineering. I mean, you have to understand, and you can't do this or feel this on camera. This is 31 pounds. Oppo didn't have a 31-pound machine, and I didn't just pour cement in it to make that happen, right? These machines were designed with intent, with thought, and to take Oppo to the next level, and that's what we've done. And that takes investment, that takes a lot of diligence, and the price of components have gone up in the past 10 years, right? It is what it is. So, there's kind of a different kind of flag posts that cause the cost to be what it is. And also, what you're also paying for is the level of support that we give you, 24/7 email support, phone support. I mean, we are here, it's US based. You get responded to in minutes. If there's a level of service that we believe we want to provide the customers, that's part and parcel of what you pay for, because that's what you expect. Whereas, you can go spend $500 on a Sony, and I wish you the best of luck getting support in the way you need it, other than being pointed back to the manual. Nothing against Sony, love the product, but we've all experienced what outsourced support can be. But we're shooting before the end of the year. We're still doing some of the fine tuning. The Rune side of it still in certification, right? We don't expect to have any issues there, but so we're still 2-3 months away from an actual street date. But CEDIA was a great opportunity to announce and say, hey, we're here, it's coming. Get ready. There's the next level, and make sure that we were able to kind of get a head start to get the word out. There's no better platform than this. The go-to player in the market, the thing we're most compared to were the Oppo players. And those were the go-to players in the industry. Unfortunately, we've been blessed with the comparison of saying it, Oppo's gone. They've now closed their repair base, their service base. So all of the Oppo owners that had those players that could send them into Oppo and have them repaired if they had an issue, can't do that anymore. We are the only place left to go. And there's this kind of upswell subculture growing vertical. And the studios and the labels are also driving it by your steel books, your collector's editions, right. More and more what they're doing is they're wrapping ancillary things and more content that then you're going to get from a streaming compressed version, right? So you're getting that more passionate super fan kind of customer. And most of those, or a lot of those customers, are the ones who are buying the higher end players because they have the higher end hardware. So they understand the value of that. And the beautiful thing, I think, for us in a growing segment is the younger audience, right? They're starting to realize that music isn't Spotify with a pair of Beats headphones, right? It's something entirely different. And they're actually starting to hear music for the first time what it really sounds like. And they're looking for a solution that actually represents it as it really sounds like versus someone's version of it or colorized flavor of it. So they're coming to us because we generally, in our category, are really kind of the lone survivors and the lone fighters for physical media. And we recently done a partnership with what's called Groove.com, which is owned by Universal Pictures Home Entertainment. And we're working with them on marketing programs and understanding, how to collectively create the message wrapped around the benefits of physical media. And it's like, for an example, people often forget that when you buy a 4K disc, you get the 4K disc, you get a Blu-ray disc, and you get the digital code. So versus going to Amazon or Fandango at home and just buying the PVOD version for $14.99, $15.99, you get this, you get everything, right? So if you're downstairs and you have the LG in the kitchen, you just want to watch the compressed version, it's good enough. We have that. If you want, all right, you got the full package. Yeah, it's funny too because there's often and it's mostly a forum, AV forum type thing. Kaleidoscape is better than physical media, and the fact is that there are some disc encodes that are better than what Kaleidoscape has done, and there's some Kaleidoscape encodes that are better than what the studios have done with the physical media offering. But at the end of the day, we find a lot of our customers have both because there are titles that aren't available on Kaleidoscape, or they have an SACD collection which Kaleidoscape can't do anything with, right? So we complement that ecosystem to somebody who kind of wants the entire spectrum of entertainment. We are a great addition to that family as far as the connection chain goes.
It doesn't need to be us versus them.
No, not at all. When the Kaleidoscape guys came over here, we got to get some of these. These are great. It's just there's no it's not an either or proposition. Just isn't. If you have a physical media library, you're covered. If you're looking for the newer titles or new titles, whether it be a catalog film coming out, right? The beautiful thing is there are more and more of these boutique studios, the Arrows, the Vinegar Syndromes, obviously the Criterions and Shout and Scream, and right, and go on and on. And they're starting to understand more and more the value of even some of these more obscure titles, and they're bringing them out. The only thing I would challenge on the digital versus physical is when you're looking at anything that you're going to look at on a streamed platform is going to be compressed, right? So you're not going to get the transfer quality that you're going to get from physical media. Some people may say, I just want to watch the title, I don't care. That's what streaming's for, right? But the general availability, as these things start to grow, like you look at what Kino Lorber a couple of weeks ago in the New York Times says, my collectors, my steelbooks, it's up 15%. So that gives them more, let's say latitude, but more cause to go get more titles and release them. And as customers say, there's this great film and it's an Italian film, it's from 1963. Nobody would ever have, a big studio would never have done that, but these boutique labels will. So it helps in that regard. But some of that stuff you still have to hunt and try and find. By and large, it always comes down to rights. Who's got the rights for what? And we look at it, when we go kind of just jumping back to the Kaleidoscape side for a second, Kaleidoscape's got their movie store in 3 territories, right? What happens to the guy in another part of the world who wants that reference level playback? This is kind of the only option, right? So, and I'm sure that'll change, but I'm sure Kaleidoscape will also tell you the studio and the rights and all that stuff it's a slippery slope. And that's why when you subscribe to HBO Max, you might see a movie gone and now you got to go subscribe to Netflix and now you got to go, right? And it becomes, a bit of whack-a-mole just to watch what you want to watch. With this, we're not going to come in here and take your Blu-rays. We're not going to come in and take your discs, right? So, there are people that the purists, right? The 77 Star Wars versus, what Jabba the Hutt looked like and what, right? There's that whole contingent of you can't change that. So yeah, it matters. And that matters to the enthusiasts, that matters. Remix, there are a lot of folks who think that, and rightly so in many cases, that a remaster has done a disservice, right? So, because it's what they're trying to compete with is what that television is doing to the picture, default out of the box with motion smoothing and all these things that kind of take that cinematic thing away and make it look like crystal clear glass live action. It's like, no, this is a film. I want to see the grain. I want to feel the experience that this was supposed to be. I don't want to watch it look like slick and right. So they're competing with that to a certain extent. That's why we stay away from all of that.